This video is how to check your secondary air pump, fix any vacuum lines, and also make sure you do a drive cycle. This is a 2008 Mercedes-benz ML 350. Has some deteriorating vacuum line connectors. Here on this one, these go to the oxygen pump. I had a crack right here, so I'm trying some Ultra Permatex gasket maker on it to try to seal it up until I can find the parts. This one down here doesn't look like it's doing too good, but it might have another couple weeks in it until I get the parts in. So just got to find some vacuum hose connectors. Vacuum line goes through here. It's right there. There's two there. This outer one goes to the top. This one with the T goes down, up to there. This one right here. Don't know what's below it. Looks like the one below it just comes out and over. Already checked the relay and the fuse, those are all good. Check the pump, there's power to it, or well, I don't know if there's power to it, but it turns on when there's power. Alright, so I'm going to start replacing some of these vacuum lines. So you can see they're pretty much deteriorating. This one had a big crack in the Y piece here. These go to, I'm going to use the wrong term, but some sort of exhaust vacuum line piece, and the other one goes here, and that's where the smog pump, or the oxygen pump, takes fresh air, puts it through the pump, and then puts it into each of these areas. Tested the power. Power seemed okay, the pump seemed okay. Tested the fuse and the relays up there. Had a little bit of trouble finding parts for this, but FCP Euro has some part kit for this 2008 Mercedes ML 350. You can see here there's a parts diagram, but it's not like super clear exactly what's what. This elbow here, part number 30, I believe is actually up here, this little elbow that comes out from this exhaust piece. So just to give some reference to the diagram, I can't even figure out the orientation of this diagram, but here's all the part numbers. So that elbow there, number 30, is this. So that's this elbow. The Y piece, here's the part number here. You can see the part. And then there's two different sizes of vacuum line. If you buy it from FCP Euro, you get the 1mm vacuum line and the 4mm vacuum line. And then you can see the cost at the dealer. If you buy it online, you can get these parts for like half the price, but I gotta pass smog in 10 days. So I gotta get the part working. So basically what you do is, I believe, some of these pieces are just the 4mm line. This is that piece I just showed. This is the 1mm line. This is probably the 4mm line, but I'm not quite sure. It does have that bend up in it. This is definitely the 4mm line right here. So hopefully I can do this with the line, but there do seem to be some special bends in here. And the way the hose is routing, the hose does look a little bit kinked. So just going to start replacing some of this stuff so that my pump works, and I fixed the P0410 code for this oxygen pump. Alright, so I removed a couple pieces here. This piece right here comes out to here. I left this elbow on. This actually looks like it may have been replaced. It's in way better condition. So I'm going to come back and replace this other side of this hose back here, the 4mm hose right there. and then replace this 1mm hose, and then I don't know if this is a special part or not. But anyways, back over here, I replaced this piece. So I didn't have a blue dot on this new piece, but there is writing on that back corner, and there's writing on that back corner, right up there. So I matched it. Looks a little bit different though. And then I'm just going to keep replacing these parts and cutting the line. This piece looks a little special on this bend though, so I might have to loop a little bit extra down and back in to make that bend. Alright, so I got the new pieces mocked up. Just cut off the old. I fished this part through with this L piece on. Basically just went up right next to this other line underneath this bracket, up through the inside of this area inside of this bracket, and then up and over this area. I'll kind of try to bend it back down when I get it situated. And then this piece, that bracket hole right there is a little bit small, so I want to put this piece on now, making sure I'm not having any crimped ends after I snip it, just using electrical snippers. And then I just kind of use these crimpers slightly to round it out, but that's just me being nitpicky. So I'm going to throw this piece back on, connect it to this, and then bend it back around to there. Alright, so I got the top piece connected up there. Got it connected on the back side of that. Got the piece coming through the housing. I would like it to rest right in between that bolt and the mounting surface, but it won't stay in there quite yet. And then I'm trying to trim this to length, so I put this elbow on, and I noticed in my previous pictures the piece kicked out like this, almost like these two pieces were parallel, and then I'll have a big piece kind of come back out and connect these two. So I'm trying to get this line distance right so I can cut it right about there, so that it sits at an angle like this from this piece coming out. So I'm gonna get that piece cut. All right, there it is. So got the piece trimmed off. I had about that much too long on it, so I trimmed it, connected it up. Everything seems to be fitting pretty good. Now I'm ready to do this bend out and back up with the 4mm line. Seems pretty flexible, but I just don't want to kink it, so we'll see how much I can get. Alright, this line's working pretty good. Just put on this bottom piece and then bend it out and up, and then I cut it to fit and pushed it on. And that is that tube. So don't really know exactly where the issue was. I'm going to replace the other line, but I just don't trust these connectors. You know, they're really falling apart. And a little bit of a crease in there. I know some other people on some other videos have an issue here, you know, where they smash their pipes, but if I blow on it, it still seems to push air through. So still seems to seal, so don't know what the issue is, if that one was a problem, but at least it's replaced. Got this piece correctly fixed now. I don't have my goo on it because it started to crack. This one looks like it was replaced, so now I'm going to move on to checking out this piece. It's a pretty short run, so I'm going to pull this whole piece off and just mock it up. This may have been the issue when I pulled this piece off here, off of the vacuum, beginning of the vacuum line. It was already pretty creased and pretty deteriorated, so maybe this was the cause of the leak. This piece of tubing bent right here. So hopefully that's the issue, because I think if it was my oxygen sensors, I would have had different codes being thrown. So I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to be gentle. I'm going to try to reuse these housings, but everything after this blue piece I think I'm going to replace. And this has just been kind of my technique. I'll just cut a piece of rubber to fit, push it on just as far as the old one, hold the two tubes together, and then snip, and then I'll cut the other piece of rubber like so. That's straight but matches the bend of that, or sorry, the length of that. And then I try to cut them at 90 degrees, pretty perpendicular, so they get a good clean fit. especially this one going up to that engine point. And then I just push them together and route them through and connect them up. All right, so I think I got them on. Hopefully that's gonna be good enough. Piece routed there, that one there. They both follow the same path through this bracket underneath, or sorry, behind this bracket, but not underneath. Pretty nice path. Got it connected. These are all connected real good. That's it. If it's not this, then I got to take it to the shop and figure out what it is, but at least I know it's not these deteriorating vacuum lines and don't have to pay for that. So it could be oxygen sensors, it could be some other vacuum leak somewhere else, so I don't have to do a smoke test or what, but hopefully this works. I just had the pump kind of mocked up here. I have the hose connected. I just pushed in the electrical, got it kind of flush against the brackets where it's going to go. Same with down here, and I'm just kind of checking down in this hole at the hose clearance down there where it meets, and I'm just kind of pushing these hoses, these two hoses. I'm just kind of pushing them, making sure they have some slack through there for where they're routed, because looks like there's some bigger gaps up higher, but the way they're bent, I don't think they'll make it up that high. So I'm just kind of making sure that I don't smash them. I think in other people's videos, I think they smashed them between that bracket and the blower. I don't think they smashed them back here on the block or whatever all this stuff is, the oil head and all that stuff. So hopefully I do this right. All right, I think I got it all back together. When I push the hoses down here, they have some movement. I feel like that is pretty tight right in there. So hopefully I didn't pinch anything. Use the right bolts. A couple of these bolts are different. I think some of these bottom two are a little smaller in the middle. But yeah, hopefully I didn't pinch the vacuum lines. If I wiggle and pull, does feel a little tight on the vacuum lines, so hopefully I didn't pinch them. I tried my best to route them, but I'll start up the car. The car is pretty hot, so I don't think it'll turn on because I think it's only in cold conditions. So you might have to wait till the next day to turn the car on to get the engine code to clear or to make sure it's fixed. All right, this is a 2008 Mercedes-benz ML 350. You can see here, you can see the temperature of the engine, and then you can cycle down or up to the miles per hour. I use these two modes quite a bit, so you can just kind of toggle these buttons to get there. So I did a cold start this morning. I think I cleared my codes first. And so first I cleared my codes. I put my key on ACC and I didn't start the vehicle, but I just put the vehicle in accessory mode. Plugged in the ODB2 scanner down there. Got the Bluetooth one. It's I think like Blue Drive or something like that. And cleared my codes, reset everything. And then I made sure the temperature, the car sat overnight, so the temperature was, there was no bar here, so the car was below 40 degrees and really cold. So with the ODB scanner in, I started up the app and got the scanner ready. I started up the vehicle. I made sure AC was turned off, so AC has to be off. And then I also turned off the cruise control over here. I made sure that the cruise control was turned off, because if that's on, that'll mess up your highway driving, so you want to keep that off. Once I had all that done, I started my drive cycle. My ABS lights are on. Those went off after the code reset, right after I went around the block. And then, sorry, at first I started the car, I idled it in park for about 10 minutes until the temperature got up to around here, about 90. I can't remember if any code started clearing at that point, but then I started driving around the city 35 miles per hour for about 10 minutes, maybe a little longer, and then hopped on the freeway and did some higher speeds around 55 miles per hour. Took me a long time. I ended up driving 60 miles per hour just because I couldn't find anything anywhere fast enough during midday traffic. So had to do a bunch of loops on the freeway and stuff, and I couldn't get the oxygen heater sensor to clear. So I was about ready to give up and go home. I went to stop and get a quarter tank of gas to fill the gas up to half a tank to try to clear the evap, even though I didn't do the coast to a stop from 65 miles per hour down to a stop. I didn't do that. And then I got gas and started up the car and idled it, and then it was cleared. I'm gonna go do my smog check right now. Well, I thought they were ready for me, but they're still not ready for me at the smog place. So got a couple more minutes. After I got gas and idled for a couple minutes, the oxygen sensor air fell off. So that was great. And with that air off, I drove straight to the smog place. I still have an evap air because I didn't do the 65 miles per hour down to a coast. I don't have anything that I can coast on. So I just can't do that right now, unfortunately. So getting ready to do my smog check. I'm pretty excited. I had trouble finding a place, but finally found a place that I could just drive up. Yeah, it's gonna be great. So a little bit of a challenge. I had to get the right ODB2 scanner. Had to make sure I had some time to drive. I had to turn off the AC. Some of the service bulletins say you have to unplug the radiator fan. I didn't have to do that. The really big trick was getting a good scanner so I can clear the codes, and then doing a cold start on the engine temperature, and then letting it come up to speed. So really helpful video on YouTube about how to do the drive cycle on a Mercedes. A guy looks like he's down in Irvine, California on the toll road, was able to drive it and clear all the engine codes. So really did, I put some notes in his comments about what I did for the driving pattern, and it worked great. 35 miles per hour and 55 miles per hour for 5 minutes and 15 minutes worked great. So time to do my smog check. YouTube video I watched was it's a guy called Cooking with Dr. Chill, and he has how to drive cycle a vehicle for smog in 30 minutes is his video. Super helpful for this Mercedes model and year that I have, this 2008. So watch that video, check out the notes, make sure you have a good ODB2 scanner, and that should help you pass smog. Also, a couple of videos I watched about my secondary air pump, the code P0410. On YouTube, I just Googled Mercedes P0410 secondary air pump, and there's all sorts of videos about it, but two of them are really helpful. ECU Boot was a good guy that really explained all about how these work, and how to test the fuse, relay, the power of the device, everything. So and then there was another one by, I forget the person's name, but I think it was like iPod Auto or something like that, but he helped me find the air leak in my vacuum pump. So that was really helpful, that I was able to fix my vacuum hoses. So I got all this to pass for $40 plus a $100 ODB2 scanner. But this scanner is really helpful. It has some other errors that I might want to look at on this vehicle over time, or it's from Amazon, so maybe I will never use it again, and I end up returning it this week. So TBD. These are the initial ABS lights. This is after driving 35 miles an hour. This is after driving 55 miles an hour. And I just passed smog. This little blue driver saved the day. Super excited.